How are you guys doing tonight?
Very good.
Good. I'll be presenting to you the mental skill of imagery. I've made an outline for you to follow along during the presentation. Here you go. So do any of you have previous experiences with imagery before?
Yeah, pretty much just on my own. I've never had any formal training in the area.
Okay. How about you, sir?
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. All right. Well, two quotes I like with imagery. The first one is, "Seeing is believing." The second one is also, "The body achieves what the mind believes." So moving on. So an individual that really believed in imagery, we have a great example in Wayne Gretzky. He said, "I really believe if you visualize yourself doing something, you can make that image come true. I must have rehearsed holding the Stanley Cup 10,000 times. When it came true, it was like an electric jolt went up my spine." You can see he imaged his outcome goal of holding the Stanley Cup. Ultimately, that increased his persistence and facilitated his performance to completing that goal. So what is imagery? Imagery is using one's senses to create or recreate an experience in the mind. So effective imagery allows you to practice skills, strategies, and mental skills without physical training. So this might be good, say, if you're injured or something along those lines. When I say you have to involve all your senses, it's polysensory, meaning that it's involve your sense of sight, smell, hearing, touch, so on and so forth. You have to incorporate all of these senses into your image in order to really make it truly effective and benefit your performance. Not only is it meaningful and effective to incorporate your senses, but you also need to incorporate your emotions into this image as well. So perhaps an emotion you're feeling when you're completing a track and field event, or when you're performing your instrument during a Pride of the Southland marching. It's important to remember that it's a skill, so it must be practiced in a continuous and systematic manner to be truly effective. Also, it must be controllable and vivid. So what I mean by that is, with controllability, is the ability to imagine exactly what you intend to imagine, and also to be able to manipulate it as you see fit. With vividness, it's more about how clearly you visualize and image these images. And not only that, but how detailed the image might appear to you, so whether it's in black and white, in color, so on and so forth. Imagery perspectives. So there are two different perspectives you can take on when you're performing visualization. The first, the internal perspective, otherwise known as the first person view. Think of this as a point of view. I have this nice little graphic up here for you. So say it's through the eyes of a football player. So as you can see, this is your first person point of view coming straight into the helmet. You also have an external point of view, otherwise known as third person. That's commonly known as just seeing it from perhaps a spectator's point of view. And both are also equally effective. It comes down to a matter of preference. You can also use a combination of one or the other. So there are three explanations as to why imagery is effective. The first is the bioinformational theory. What this is stating is that every time you image a stimulus, there's also a response that goes along with that stimulus. So for example, say you're playing basketball, you're imaging taking a jump shot. So that would be the stimulus. The response to that would be perhaps characteristic of anxiety, perhaps muscle tension, shortness of breath, feelings of apprehension that you're not going to make the shot. So what this theory is stating is that it would be beneficial for you to visualize that stimulus of shooting the basketball. However, when you visualize it, you would be better off to maybe incorporate a relaxation technique such as a deep breath, therefore minimizing that muscle tension. Therefore, when you actually do complete the task of shooting the basketball, there is no muscle tension or any characteristic of anxiety that goes along with it. The second explanation is the functional equivalence explanation. What this is saying is that when you image certain performances or any task at all, the same parts of the brain are firing as when you actually complete this task. Therefore, your brain is still working as in if you're actually completing it when you're imaging it. The third explanation is the mental readiness task. Basically what this does is just improves your confidence, has your energy at a maximal level, so on and so forth, just because you have seen this image before in your mind. So when you actually get up to perform the task, you've already seen it before, so you're much more comfortable, much more confident, so on and so forth. All right, using imagery. So you can use imagery in 3 ways to enhance your sport performance. Mental practice, like I said, using imagery to perform a specific skill repeatedly in the mind. So this would be good if you're having trouble learning a skill perhaps, or like I said, if you may become injured and you can't actually physically practice the skill, mental practicing the skill in the mind can benefit you and be effective. There's also preparation. So using imagery as a pre-performance routine. So perhaps, as I said before, this goes back to the mental readiness explanation. So what this does, if you use it as a pre-performance routine, then you feel much more comfortable, you've already seen it before in your mind, that you feel much more confident. And the third one is long-term imagery. This is imagery over time to increase performance. And this goes back to the Wayne Gretzky's quote. So he imaged holding the Stanley Cup, like he said, tens of thousands of times. This increased his persistence and ultimately facilitated his performance to achieve his final goal of holding the Stanley Cup above his head. How imagery can help you. So, we've previously talked about some of these, we'll go over them again. Imagery can help you learning and practicing skills and also performance strategies. Preparing a mental focus to imagery, and this all goes back to the explanations that we previously talked about, the mental readiness explanation. Your self-confidence, also dating back to the mental readiness explanation. Just seeing it before makes you feel much more confident and you're ready to go. Energy management, you know how to pace yourself while performing a different task due to imaging it in your mind. Anxiety, stress management. This goes back to the bioinformational theory. Also mental readiness, seeing something before may decrease your anxiety or your stress about a certain stimulus. Increasing self-awareness, so that you're much more aware of how your body might react to something when you're imaging, or how your body might react to a performance deficit when you've imaged it before and you're ready to counteract it with something more productive. And also aiding in the recovery of injury. I put this one here because I like it so much. I read an article recently that discussed how imaging, recovery in your mind or your recovery goals when you're injured, that might actually help manipulate your body and influence your body into recovery. So I found that to be very, very interesting, just imaging your goals. Perhaps you are recovering from a knee injury and imaging, returning to a regular gait or walk or into a run, that might help influence the body into this recovery process. Okay, when to use imagery. So you may incorporate imagery daily, prior to a performance, or during your post-performance review. So this is all good. It's especially beneficial to incorporate it when you're reviewing a performance. It's good to retrospect on that performance and realize what you did wrong, what you can improve on, so on and so forth. Just remember trying to stay positive. And strategies to enhance imagery. So a few additional strategies. It's important to switch up the places and positions. You never know when you might want to incorporate a quick imagery session, so practice them in different places, positions might be beneficial. The timing of imagery is very important. The timing of imagery should be the exact same as the timing of the actual performance. So don't speed it up, don't get impatient, take a deep breath, make sure the timing is exactly how it would be as if you're completing your actual performance task. Image the performance and outcome. So not only do you want to image, so go back to the Wayne Gretzky example, not only do you want to image holding the Stanley Cup above your head, you also want to image, what your practice goals are, what your goals are for competition, how are you going to be a better teammate, so on and so forth. And lastly, goes back to the controllable and vividness argument, or not argument, details. Just be specific in all uses of your imagery. So you want to be as detailed as possible, as many little details as you can incorporate into your visualizations, images. You want to be able to do that. And that's really all I have for you today, guys. Do you guys have any questions at all? All right. Best wishes. May you incorporate imagery in your everyday lives.